everyone, Joshua Hanlon here, and today I'm with Chris at the Brickmania Capital Store here in Chantilly, Virginia. We are right next to the Dulles Expo Center, which is where Brick Fair Virginia is taking place, so we thought we'd hop on over here to the Brickmania store, which this location just opened like a week and a half ago, right?
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. Yeah, thank you guys for making the arduous journey, like 10 feet to
It was a struggle, but we made it in the door.
Yeah. So we've now moved from where we were, which was about a couple hundred feet away, to be even closer to the expo center. So now we're like right at the seat of the action.
We did a video with you there at the last store last year. Yeah. Yep. So people might have seen that at the previous location, but now you're at a brand new location here.
Yes, we are basically, if you show up to our old location, look left and you'll find us. But we are not very far from where we were. We just moved to be confusing and to get a much larger space.
So I was going to ask you, but what all has changed? Obviously, kind of a larger space. Anything else? Big differences in terms of the new store space?
Yeah. So as we have more space, we now have more stuff that we can put in here. So we've started to get more into a lot of other product lines, not only just Lego and Lego compatible things, but other sorts of toys, games, building, materials, stuff like that. Just moving towards more being like an actual, just a fun toy store. So regardless of whether or not you're into Lego or not, you can find something cool here. Because we do get a lot of families come in, and they're generally here because there's one person in that family who really loves Lego and drags the entire family in here. And it's usually a small boy. But we want to have stuff for all the other people in the family that they think would be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So while they're looking at all the amazing kits, models, pieces and parts, digging through bins of brick arms, other people have stuff to see too. So, I mean, one of the biggest draws is obviously all the kits we have here. So we have a display kit of just about everything we have in stock, and a lot of other ones that are retired or out of stock but will be restocked. Mm-hmm. But it's really nice to come and see the things, fiddle around with the play features, see how large it is, how it compares to the scale of your builds, your mocks that you're going to put them next to.
Do you open these cabinets if someone wants to,
all the time,
see a kit and
everything? If somebody wants to get hands-on with something, there's like one or two models I wince internally when somebody tries to pick up. But I don't tell them that ahead of time, so if they break it, well, they don't have to.
I like how things are marked so you can see like the new releases and stuff, kind of what's new and everything.
We've got new stuff coming in every week with new figures, new kits, and eventually we're going to get more 3D printed elements and other stuff coming out at a very rapid pace. So we want to let people know what's new, what's coming in, and then also like what's retiring, what's on the way out. So we have those all marked and show up here so people know they have like one last chance to pick it up in a kit before they have to wait for digital instructions or tread the dangerous waters of eBay or resellers and really start shelling out.
It's a dangerous world out there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Once you dive into Bricklink, it's really hard to claw your way out, even if you're just trying to get like minifigures and other pieces and parts, but definitely.
And you referenced this table over here so we can take a look. This is the retired kit specifically, right?
Yeah.
So all of this stuff is no longer available online?
Yeah, they should. Well, they're no longer being made.
They're no longer being made, okay.
Yeah, so there's no longer any planned restocks of any of these. There might be one or two of these left online, but things generally sell out slower here in the stores than they do online just because there's a much wider audience online. So we have a lot of old kits, and it's kind of like a treasure hunt when you come in. You see all sorts of kits that you thought were gone or you forgot even that we made, or just like, oh man, I really should get this now that I have it here and I can see it and it's so cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so as like Lego does, they retire things, they don't keep them around forever. We do the same thing. We've got other kits we want to make. The list of kits people yell at us to make is 9.5 miles long.
People just walk in the store and start yelling at you.
Absolutely, but in a friendly way, in a very friendly way. They'll come in and be like, hey, have you ever made this thing? And sometimes I'll just have to look it up and be like, we did, 2017. I don't know if we're going to do it again. But yeah, we want people to have a chance to know, if they were interested in something that, you might not have a chance to get it because things do sell out and you're not going to get a chance to get them again. But a lot of times we'll actually update things over the years. Like if you look at our original Hueys and Jeeps, they're a far cry from the stuff that the design team is putting out today. So many new elements, so much more printing and detail. Yeah, the old stuff just looks it's fun, but it's kind of blocky in comparison.
We should also mention a new feature that I noticed, which is the bulk tables over here. So is this the first Brickmania store that has the bulk tables?
We were, yes, mainly because people kept asking if we had it, and I decided, yes, we're going to have it. So I went out and I got a whole bunch of bulk bricks, and we got some tables to put stuff out there. And it has been an amazing success, that and like the Build-A-Figure that we have. The lovely Amanda and Mario.
There's a couple rookie builders who are trying their hand to see if they can figure out how it works over here.
But yeah, like the Build-A-Figure station, we're going to be keeping that stocked with parts. The bulk brick bins, especially people just love. It's almost like that I don't know what the thing is on YouTube with the weird noises everyone loves.
Like ASMR.
That's it. Digging through Lego. Yeah, it's got that nice crinkly noise to it. And a lot of people would come in. They're like, hey, I need this one specific piece for this mock, and a lot of times I would just before we had this, I would just dig through my bins of stuff I had. I'm like, is this the piece you need? And when they leave with the biggest smile on their face because we had that one tiny Technic pin in like blue that they needed or something, we just decided, let's just get some bins and let people do the work for them. So,
perfect. Yeah, I think this is super fun, and it's great for, like you said, people can come in and just pull out whatever they need.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. When your name is Brickmania, people just assume you have bricks lying around. Yeah, so we wanted to do that.
And we see some more great sets on display here as well.
Yeah.
This one stands out. You've got your Viking raiding ship, so a little bit of a different time period for Brickmania.
Yeah, so I mean, the OG Brickmania fans will know that Dan started with doing a lot of the medieval stuff. So, you know, he started doing with castles and the blacksmith shop, which was actual Lego kit. And so we did a medieval month last year because we wanted to see if that was something people were still interested in. Turns out they were. We put out a poll with like, you know, what time period do you want? Medieval Europe, you know, Vikings, samurai, Romans. Romans ended up winning, but I'm pretty sure Dan wanted to do the boat, so they did the boat.
He's like, the poll really meant nothing in the end.
Yeah, it's like, wait, I run this company. But the Jakar was really popular. It comes with really cool, you know, 13, you know, figures on it. I was really disappointed when it came with 13 warriors and not one of them was Antonio Banderas. That's kind of a deep cut I hope somebody in the comments gets. But no, so that should be coming back again this year, maybe with some new Viking stuff as well, because it was really quite popular.
Very,
I think we might get those helmets as a separate piece as well, which you can never have too many Viking helmets.
And then as we make our way to the counter here, how do you decide kind of what to display in this section versus these other shelves?
Whatever fits.
Yeah.
So some of our kits just have to go up top. Like if you see the B-24 off to the left, like that does not fit in a case.
The wingspan awesome. Just can't be held.
No, it's just, yeah, so like that, the U-2, SR-71, those big giant planes, the AC-130 I think you had a picture of earlier, those just do not fit. So those all go on top, but then a lot of the other stuff will go in here. And eventually, since we just moved in and got everything in, we want to put it not chronologically, but by like time period. So like, here's all your Desert Storm stuff, here's your Korean War stuff, here's your Vietnam stuff. So people, if they're looking for something, it's all in one area. They don't need to bounce across the store like pinballs.
And above that, you see some of the just kind of general Lego minifigures. Oh, yeah. So you do serve that more general Lego audience as well.
There is a pretty good subset of Lego collectors who just like collecting minifigures, and I kind of find myself in that category. But people love minifigures, love finding new ones, and we try and have a nice collection of stuff here. So we're always kind of like getting in some new stuff here and there, trying to get things not only from like the collectible series, but from different sets and things like. Sometimes people come in and like, oh my God, you have 6 Rock Raider figures. I need every Rock Raider you have. And it's funny to see what people are interested in. I mean, and what crazy numbers some of these things like goats and other random bits and Star Wars dudes can get up to. It's insane.
Now, with the popularity of something like the new Top Gun movie, have you seen a rise in requests for those models of planes featured in that? And like with movies and things like that?
We sold out of all like our F-14 Tomcats and the F-16s and stuff like that. Funnily enough, Kobe did a bunch of really nice things that were branded as Top Gun, but they were released when the movie was originally supposed to release.
Oh.
Like 2 years ago. Timing so they redid them again to retie to the movie's actual release. And they've still been quite popular. The F-14 Tomcat was one of our first digital instructions, and that remains probably one of the most popular. And we started doing like sticker sheets for those, so anybody who's building them from the instructions will be able to recreate any of the 3D or the printed elements that were on the original set. We even started reprinting some of the figures so you can have a pilot that goes with it.
Yeah.
Because that's something that people really want to, you know, they may have missed out on the first run 3 or 4 years ago because they didn't know Brickmania existed. So we want to give those new fans the same chance to enjoy it that the people who have been around for 5 to 10 years have.
Speaking of planes, you got your F-35 kits down here as well.
Yes. Once we started getting licenses from the companies that make the actual vehicles, like Lockheed, Bell, Sikorsky, Humvee, Textron, all these guys, well, that just kind of opens the doors to doing a lot of those. So we've done the F-35 variant A, B, and C. We've done the F-16s, the F-22s, F-4s. I just call it the F series of fighter jets because it reminds me of trucks. There's a new one every year. But yeah, no, so we've done all sorts of those, and so we try and get, especially the new modern stuff, licensed by the companies that actually makes it. Not only because then we can use the actual insignias, the names, and put their logo on it as well, but it does give it that little bit of authenticity to it.
See more of the vehicles here
in this
cabinet?
Oh yeah, we have our Humvee parking lot. When we got the license for Humvee, I think we cranked out like 8 or 9 different Humvee kits in the year. It is just like people. I mean, basically anybody who's been in the military at some point and actively served, or even in reserves or anything, has just been in a Humvee. Like
they're so universal.
Humvees are they're just everywhere. It's like, oh, we need to go to 7-Eleven, grab the Humvee. But yeah, no. So I mean, we have a couple of guys who work here who have been in the armed services, and they're like, Humvees are great until you have to live in one for a month.
What's going on with the pink one on
Okay, so the pink one's a special one. So that's not a Humvee. So that is the British one. The British one, one of the few people that actually use pink camo, because that is like kind of the SAS raiders, and they usually would operate when they do their raids at either dawn or dusk. And during those time frames, pink blends in very, very well to the desert. So it makes it much, much harder to see, especially from above. And there was actually stories of them painting the tops of some of their planes pink and flying really low, so that planes flying above them looking down wouldn't really be able to see them as easily. But it's more of like a trick of the light at certain times of the day, not because it's like Barbie's Malibu.
Not because like Care Bears is coming to raid your village.
No. There's no tasting the rainbow here. Yeah, and then there's the original Humvee, which is the Roman Chariot.
Oh yes, yes.
Yes, two full horsepower on that one. Carries maybe a dude and a half. You don't know. But yeah, no. So we keep coming out with new stuff. Each month has a theme. So this month's theme is Guadalcanal. So it's a lot of early war Americans and Japanese on the Western Front. So we have new figures for that. We have new kits for that. And there will generally also be restocks of other older themes throughout that particular month. But most of the new releases, unless they're tied to like a certain birthday or anniversary, will tie into that theme.
I gotta give a shout out to these posters as well.
Yes.
I love the graphic design up there. What all does that advertise?
So we wanted to have events at the old store, but as you guys may have noticed last time, it wasn't very large.
Right.
So we didn't have a whole lot of space. So now we do. And we have monthly events, our big one being Mock Monday, which is the last Monday of every month. People can bring in their mocks. Then we have a little, people vote on them. We have a little party and everything, and then we crown a winner at the end. They get a little special badge bricks that declares them as a victorious member of the Mock Monday Battle Royale.
Nice.
And then we have things like, we have tabletop gaming, wargaming nights. So we do things like Bolt Action, Warhammer, all sorts of other games from Games Workshop and stuff. And then tabletop games, and we'll have those events here on a monthly or even weekly basis if there's enough people kind of uptaking them. And then micro brick battle nights to, people want to find somebody to smash all their toy tanks against.
And I want to mention, shout out to you. You've been here working hard for days now, getting everything ready for the show. And look who just wanders in the door over here. Just, casually comes in after you've been slaving away for days.
He's been doing stuff, I'm sure. He's what makes his company run. I just sell the stuff. He makes it. So.
Glad you can make it in Lando.
But yeah, I think Dan's hiding around the back somewhere too. I don't know.
But we'll keep going on here.
But yeah, no, and then obviously every Brickmania store has the locus of power, which is all of the brick arms bins. So not only we carry brick arm stuff, but we started working with some other companies. So we have things like from Minifig Cat, we have things from Brick Warriors, Cape Madness, all sorts of fun extra stuff that are kind of Lego compatible, and that people want to just kind of take their mock to the next level. They're looking for certain things, and certain times, certain companies are the only ones who make a thing. So I want to have those things available for people. But yeah, no, I mean, if you've started getting in any sort of military or Star Wars stuff, like brick arms, they are, I would say, kind of the gold standard of when it comes to minifigure weaponry and equipment and stuff. And the people at Brick Fair have been coming over and raiding our bins for the last 3 days. So I'm hoping there's something left for the public by Friday.
But yeah, you can see lots of fantastic stuff.
Oh yeah, no, we have got perfect calibers in here, which are our custom printed ones. So we'll take the regular regular brick arms and then print on them and just give them that much more oomph. So if you get like a really cool printed figure, you want to have a gun that goes with it. It looks just as good as the guy. Like, he just walked right out of a photo. So we try and keep a ton of those. Amanda and the crew at GHQ have been cranking out all sorts of 3D printed headgear and other accessories that are just absolutely gorgeous. And people come in here and they will just, again, raid our supply. And then we've got also stuff from Eclipse Graphics, because Victor's just a cool dude. And he makes some really awesome stuff, and people love it. This is really popular, especially with the people who aren't into military stuff. They come in here and they see all the different candies and drinks and everything, and they're like, this would be great for my little, my town scene. So. Plus, he always is very imaginative. He comes up with fun names for everything. So
you got to avoid those copyright issues.
Absolutely. These are all legally distinct Lego puns.
See some great boats and ships below that.
Yeah, boats are cool. A lot of people come in looking for boats, and the sad thing is that building boats at scale, we don't get around to as often as I'd like. Especially with more of the modern stuff, like missile cruisers and destroyers and stuff. The Mark V stock, the one underneath it, was a kind of an exception. John Canepa did an amazing job on that one, because not only does it have just the top part, but it has 4 different layers of interior, from basically just the crew compartment up top all the way down to the engine room, and you can just take it apart layer by layer.
You know what always blows my mind is we'll make videos on the giant Brickmania ships like the Missouri or the Macon Island more recently, and we'll get comments on YouTube from people who are like, where can I get instructions for this?
Yeah.
Where can I buy this?
Your imagination, just dream it and it can be true.
I don't think this 25-foot long ship.
I don't think Dan ever wrote up instructions for that because he's just like, this is how it looks good. But then again, my brain is far too smooth to come up with some of these designs. So I'd leave it to the professionals over at headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the World War I aviation stuff just because it seems like the last time things were colorful.
Yeah, the colors always stand out.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
They pop, they're great. And some of the big bombers and stuff with the nice like purples and blues. I love all these, the flying circus aspect of it. But yeah, so I'm always happy when like a World War I month rolls around because I'm like, I'm gonna get some sweet new planes.
And then some of these areas we've been passing by out here, this is some of the kind of non-Brickmania stuff.
Yeah, so it's all the non-Brickmania stuff, but again, they do fun things. Like I said, we want to have fun stuff in the store. So we have things like Mega Constructs and Kobe and CDX, the coasters and stuff. So they do a lot of fun stuff. Like they do cool things like Halo and Aliens and some of that, the fun stuff that Pokemon that Lego is never going to get around to either because it's either too warlike or other stuff. Which I've enjoyed building them, and a lot of the kids come in here and they really, they see something they know and they enjoy it and they just immediately gravitate towards it. And then Kobe is really nice because they make some pretty decent kits as well, and most of their kits are really nice and solid, which I enjoy. And they're just at a much easier price point, and also they allow us to fill a lot of gaps in our lineup because we can only make so many kits at a time. So people are gonna be like, hey, when are you gonna make another Challenger 2? And I'm like, I don't know when we're gonna make another Challenger 2, but I know Kobe has one. So we use them to kind of like help fill out the incredibly wide aspect of military vehicles that have existed over the years that people like to build with.
Right, because Brickmania, just due to like parts limitations and everything, you can't stock everything all the time.
It is kind of a nature of the beast that we don't make the bricks. We have to source them from all other places. So that's where a lot of our cost comes from and a lot of the time. So whereas Lego's making thousands and thousands and thousands of kit at a time, and Kobe can do that too, we only generally make a couple at a time, 20 to 50 to 100, just because that's how and anyone who's been in Lego for a while knows how expensive parts can get when you're trying to build one of those gigantic displays. So. And then behind you here we got a new thing here. So CDX Blocks basically does all sorts of cool coasters. Lego's done some really nice coasters, but these are a little bit more modular, allows you to kind of bend them and flex them and make them all different sorts of ways. And they have fun things like the teacups and other spinner rides that help fill out an amusement park. So anything we have that is Lego compatible, that's fun, that's exciting, we want to try and get in here because most times people come in here and they didn't know something like Eclipse Graphics or Brick Warriors or CDX or any that actually existed, but now that they're here, they find it and they find it interesting. So
for sure.
Yeah.
We can keep moving over this direction then. So we've got a bunch of the sealed kits over here, and then the minifigures next to that. Yeah,
so obviously all of our kits come as a sealed box if you get it from us. If you get it online, I don't know what you're gonna get, but they come as a sealed box just like a Lego kit would, and it has all the pieces and it has all the parts and the figures, instructions, any stickers, anything you need to build it will be right in there. And some of our parts are a lot heavier than the boxes should look like they are, just because they're filled to the brim with pieces.
So they pack a lot in there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think the AC 130 box weighs close to 20 pounds. It's a lot of bricks. Also like multiple instruction books, yeah. But like I said, we come out with new stuff every week, and so we're still always trying to cram things onto our
Right, I imagine space is always difficult in terms of how much you can set out here and how do you decide kind of what you're going to have on display.
Yeah, certain things like disappear almost as soon as we get them as well, so that certainly helps us. But yeah, we've got all sorts of cool new things coming out, so we want to make sure we can display that. Eventually we were going to try and again make it chronological, but it was more just let's get it on the shelf. It's been time for Brick Fair. We tried doing that with the figures, and then we realized as we get new stuff in, we have to move everything around. We'll see how well we do with it.
And you have a lot of experience now working at these couple of different stores here in Chantilly. So the average kind of Brickmania customer that comes in the door, are they looking for like a super specific vehicle, or is it just like I'm looking for a tank or a plane in general? What is that typically?
It generally runs from every side of that spectrum there. So some people come in looking for specifically one thing, especially a lot of times kids were like, all right, I need this to finish my mock. Or somebody will come in and be like, I want this because this is what I served with or what I worked with. Or was on the design team. We have so many defense contractors around here. I've lost count of how many people can say, oh, I was on the design team for this plane. I built this aileron system. And it's just like, cool.
Now you can build it with Lego.
Yeah, that's exactly what they wanted. I remember one guy called me. He was looking for the M113, the green APC from Vietnam. I'm like, oh yeah, did you serve one? He's like, oh yeah, we hit a mine, and I had my butt blown right out of one. It took me 6 months to walk again. It's like, so I want one as a desk thing. I'm like, that's great.
It's a great, icebreaker.
Yeah. I'm like, thank you for that knowledge. But yeah, and then some people will come in like, we have one guy that comes in who just builds helicopters, or one guy who just really likes boats and does all sorts of things like that. Some guys will just be like, I just do this particular time frame of this war, or my grandfather was in this particular plane, so I want to get this as a remembrance thing of him. And yeah, it just kind of runs the gamut from that. And then the people who just come in is like, this looks neat. I like this. This has fun colors. I want to build it.
And shout out to the Ukrainian themed kits here. So we have a video on the channel with Dan talking about kind of some of those kits individually, the work you guys have done to raise money for some of the relief efforts over there.
Yeah, I think
so
they're well over 150,000 at this point. I think closing up on 2 at some point in the near future. Because I know they're doing a raffle at Brick Fair.
Yeah, so like the booth in Brick Fair itself this year is kind of all around the Ukrainian kits and raffling those off.
Yeah, I don't think we have any of the giant displays this year, but we have more of our stuff dealing with the Ukraine benefit and the raising money for that. But yeah, they have been absolutely cranking those out and like knocking them out of the park. I mean, it started, obviously the whole thing started very abruptly, and so they changed their whole project list and everything got moved around on the schedule to make room for like the first off, I think it was the Ghost of Kiev the figure, and then the plane, and then all the different variations of tanks and BTRs, and St. Javelin was incredibly popular. And we have a bunch of the figures down there as well.
Well, you can actually head that direction.
We'll head down that
take a look at some more of the figures here, because the minifigures, and I'll make sure to say this within earshot of Lando, are very, very impressive as well.
They are very impressive. Whoever makes them must be an absolute artistic genius. But yeah, so Lando was one of the main designers for most of these. You'll see his name on almost everything. There's a few other people who have started working their way into the team, and they've done some really good work. But all of our little custom figures that we do come in these little clamshell packs here in the store. They run from all the way back from like Roman times, way up at the top there, to more modern stuff like Marine Force Recon, and even stuff from the Ukrainians. We have the Ukrainian Rifleman, the Ghost of Kiev figure down there. And then one of my favorite little things that we do, and that people will generally come by again once they realize we do it, is all the dress uniforms. So each branch of the armed services has a birthday, and on their birthday we'll do a series of dress uniforms for that particular branch of the service. So Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Marine Corps. I can't forget them, or they'll roast me. And I guess Space Force now has a dress uniform, so I'm hoping we'll see them in the next run through. We haven't done them yet because they didn't actually have a dress uniform. So. But
you represent lots of different aspects. You're not just like your typical uniform of the soldier in the field.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I was always bugging them. I was like, you should do a PT uniform where it just has a thing and a whole bunch of sweat stains and the guy who looks really too tired. But it's like, that'd be kind of a boring figure. But it's really more true to the military lifestyle, I think, than all decked out sometimes. But then we'll also do like non-combatant stuff as well, like we had from the Vietnam, and we had like the donut dollies from Vietnam and World War II. We even had like Edith Cavil and Harriet Tubman. We started doing some more historical figures. Amanda did a really good job on Albert Einstein here, and he's got a reversible face where his tongue's sticking out. I think that's oh no, it's not on that one. I lied. But also we've started doing more and more with 3D printing elements for hats, hairs, combos of that, helmets, all sorts of stuff to just give it more and more authenticity. Because like you can only do the Brick Arms like MCH combat helmet printed so many ways. And you want to have all the fancy fast helmets and the specialty gear. So
I love the colors of the Navy flight deck.
Yes.
That's if anyone who's seen our Make an Island
rainbows,
video, that's you can see those guys all over the deck of it.
Most people will tell you that is designed so that people will know what team they're on, but it actually is the flavor. So each one is a difference. You've got strawberry, blueberry.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you for breaking the myths.
We speak truth here, Brickmania. Yeah. And like, funnily enough, we started doing. I think one of my favorite little ones here was we did little Bugsy Siegel, which is a mobster and a gangster, but he comes with a funny little slot machine. So we started doing little elements, and I think we had John Dillinger at one point. So we're getting into more historical characters and figures as well, which I think is a kind of an underserved section.
Yeah. Then you get like kind of weapons packs here. So we saw some of the individual weapons, and these are more just like packs.
So the individual ones are if you know exactly what you need, or you need a whole bunch of the same thing. For people just getting into it, or for getting the specialty stuff, like the Star Wars cannons and the blasters and stuff, they come in little packs. Or if you just want a whole bunch of guns. Sometimes kids just starting out is like, I just need a bunch of guns to put in my Lego guy's hands, and that's exactly what these are for.
Or like here you see them themed around a certain war, like
absolutely,
Vietnam.
Yeah,
That works really well.
I think one of my favorite little packs. I think it's where did it go? We might be out of it at this point. But it was like, it's the World War II weapons pack. So it's got basically a full loadout for I think 5 or 6 different like nationalities.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a sticker pack that goes along with it. So you get this and a sticker pack and a couple dudes, and now you have one guy from like every nationality on here, fully kitted out. And it's a fun little starter for people who are just getting into the wide world of Lego creating and collecting.
Right,
so,
right. You're just kind of getting a base down, yeah.
Yeah. And so we also do a lot of 3D printed elements, tile packs for various stuff. So we did some for all the different space missions.
That is super cool,
Mercury,
yeah.
Apollo, Gemini. And then as well as things for some of our digital instructions, we have like the Mercury control centers for if you're going to build that, as well as muzzle brakes for all sorts of different planes. Planes don't have muzzle brakes. Tanks do. For if you're trying to build them yourself and you want to make a whole bunch of them. Because a lot of times you see these really cool mocks at Brick Fair and these guys have like 5 or 6 of these tanks rolling up on the beach. And, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to see what people come up with. And then track links. You can never have too many track links if you're trying to build a bunch of tanks.
Yeah, that's a great addition, way to custom make your own kits there.
Absolutely,
as well.
yeah. And then we have a lot of our older instruction books, which we'll go through. Again, they're themed by time frame. So we've got Great War, World War II, Pacific Theater, Eastern Theater, things like that. And each one of these will have generally between like 10 and 15 to 16 different kits in there, step-by-step instructions, as well as sticker sheet for everything. So it's a good way if you have way too many Legos at home, which I guess is not really a thing, having too many Legos. But if you have a lot of extra Legos at home, you can use them to dig through your parts bin to find pieces and make some more stuff to add to your collection. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where these stickers come in as well. A lot of our older kits, people keep asking us to bring out or release the instructions, and we can't bring them out again because we a lot of times don't have the pieces for them. So they started putting out weekly digital instructions you can get online, and these sticker packs are all to replicate the individual printed elements that would have been in the original kit, so they have the same look.
Yeah, so that's great, and yeah, the stickers make it much easier for people to come back through and put those kits together.
So again, if you're just getting into Brickmania now and you see a kit from like 3 or 4 years ago that we used to do, that's like, oh, that's so cool, I really want that, but if nobody has it or wants to sell it to me, or on eBay it's like $12 million. Digital instructions are absolutely the way to go. Plus, you can make the thing as many times as you want. So if you want to make 6 Shermans for your mock, you get 1 digital instruction, you go on Bricklink, you get all the pieces you need, and then you start building.
Perfect. And then some of this is for the micro brick battles,
we have a little bit of micro
right?
brick battle left. Yeah, so micro brick battle is a small scale tabletop like skirmish game with tanks, planes, artillery. We even added rules for infantry. And it's a very, very simple game to start with, and you can kind of add more complexity as it goes. Mm-hmm. So if you're playing with really young kids and kind of getting them into the crazy world of tabletop wargaming, you can kind of pare down the rules to just be more like rolling dice and making explosion noises and having a great time. Or you can start adding in rules for things like obscured vision, tank angling, off-map artillery, planes, weather, minefields, stuff like that. Yeah.
Depends on how complex.
How much of an afternoon do you want to give it? Yeah.
Yes.
And obviously we have sweet Brickmania merch.
Oh yes.
Yeah. You can never rep Brickmania.
Stop in today.
Yes, absolutely. We got all sorts of stuff: hoodies, shirts, patches, Zippos, drink coolers.
I got to give a shout out to I love this shirt here. So it's got the Washington D.C. skyline and then Chantilly. Oh, there you go. Yes.
So each of the stores is getting their own individual shirt as well as an individual figure 2-pack. So the Capitol store, Chicago store, and the Minneapolis store each got one that has like the skyline of that city behind it. And then I think the Miramar and Vallejo one's got some cool ones with color, with like the osprey and everything. So
yes, I was talking to Dan earlier, and they said they went more with the surfer vibe out in California.
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't think they don't come with sleeves out there. They just
there's no
there's no
allowed.
sleeves. Plus, it's cheaper that way, I guess. You don't have to pay for sleeves. That's extra fabric.
But I do love this. So each store kind of has their own.
Yeah, we were like, they were like, oh, let's do the skyline. What like famous buildings do you have? And we're like, really? Come on.
I can't think of it.
You make a big like trapezoid thing here, and you got the White House, and there you go. We got so many famous buildings here. You're tripping over them anytime you get off the metro.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
So
and it gives another reason for people because they travel to. You know what? I'm just gonna do this later. It gives people a lot of times people will travel to individual stores just because it's kind of like a thing to go on their trip. Like just as much as they want to go see the museums at the Smithsonian, like there's that one person in the family who's like, we got to go to the Brickmania store while we're here. And so that gives them another reason to come out here. You get the cool shirt, you get to see the places you've been. We have the patches now as well. And like the exclusive figure 2-pack. So it makes kind of going to each store a little individual experience in and of itself. So going to the a different store in a different state is going to be a little bit different. And you'll get to see some other cool kits that are over there, and you know, find some cool souvenirs. Yeah.
Speaking of museums, for people who haven't been to Chantilly before, you're just like 5 minutes away from the Udvar Hazy Center, which is an incredible air museum here in Chantilly. So without even going into downtown DC, you've got an incredible air museum.
Yeah, it's right next to the Dulles Airport.
Right.
They have an SR-71 there. They've got so much cool.
They've got space shuttle.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They flew that there on the back of a larger plane.
So that's
yeah,
amazing.
no, that was really cool. So then we are, again, just a few metro stops, or you know, a little drive away from downtown DC, so you can go and see the Smithsonian there. And then museum that's not open all the time, but I should give a big shout out to is the Tank Farm, or the Virginia Museum of Military Vehicles, I think is the other name for it, down in Knoxville, Virginia. They usually have an open house, usually in like late September. And that's just a big private collection of military vehicles. They have them all running out there. They have reenactors. Brickmania usually goes there every year as well. But definitely look up like the Tank Farm in Virginia down in Knoxville. If you're in the area, come check it out. It's free, and you get to go check out a whole bunch of cool tanks. So.
Yeah, very cool. So what we see here is some board games as well. So again, you talked about kind of like diversifying into other things.
I mean, there's only so much Lego you can put apps on. No, we could fill this entire building with Lego floor to ceiling. It would never be enough. But no, there are other types of people in the world, strangely enough.
Really?
So yeah, and not your audience, obviously, but yeah, no. So there's people. We got puzzles, we got board games, we got stuff for kids and little activities and things, and then also just people can come in. We have board games you can play and check it out and stuff like that. Because it's always fun to try something out before you buy it. So that's just another fun thing. We have that. We have Warhammer. It's another kind of like tabletop battle game. That was more my speed as a kid than Lego, and then Bionicle came along and everything changed.
There you go.
Yeah.
They hooked you.
They did. It was those crazy action figures. Anybody who says Bionicle is terrible, I'll fight you. And then we have over here the sticker pack. So a lot of people come in and they want to make a bunch of figures, but we may not have that figure available at the moment because again, you only make certain things at certain times. And if you want to get 50 of a dudes for your D-Day or Iwo Jima mock or something, getting a fully printed army of like 50 dudes is very hard to do and very expensive. So the sticker packs come in clutch there. You can deck out a whole bunch of guys. You just grab some bodies. Doesn't matter what's printing on them as long as they're kind of the right color. And then you can just make a whole army of them and then build the mock that your imagination actually wants.
Yeah, that works super well. And on the other side here is a great, I love the Brickmania dioramas. So we did a video, I think, on this many years ago with Dan talking about it.
This is one of the older dioramas.
Yeah.
This was one of the first ones that Dan and them would take around from show to show. And as he puts it, they just basically threw it into UPS boxes and mailed it to the next show. Which, good on them, but like that's probably a lot of rebuilding. But now it has a home here in the little Vietnam mock, and we plan to expand on it because the convoy seems to be going nowhere. We want to build a fire base where they're going to end up.
Yeah.
And then eventually add more Easter eggs, because that's one of the fun things when you get to some of those giant elaborate builds that I'm sure you guys are going to cover over at Brick Fair, is all those little Easter eggs and fun little bits that people put in there that really kind of hooks people's imagination.
I like the Beatles references throughout here as well.
Yep, they're on top of the hotel there. Yeah, so we've got a couple things in here, like there's the Beatles in the Yellow Submarine, there's the tunnels underneath, there's Rambo creeping through the river. We hid an Ark of the Covenant somewhere in here. We had an extra one lying around. They just give those out. But so yeah, we got all sorts of fun little bits and pieces in here.
Super fun, yeah. And seeing the dioramas, even if they're older ones like this, they still look really impressive.
Yeah. When you guys were at the last store, did we have the U-boat at that time, or was it?
I can't remember now. Yeah, it might have been. I get mixed up. We go to so many different Brickmania places. It's hard to keep track.
Lucky you. Yeah. But no, yeah. So each of the stores has its own cool big display. So some of the California stores have the big like USS Missouri, and I think one of them's getting the Macon Island. Chicago has the USS O'Hare. I think one of the California stores has a big Middle East fire base sort of thing. Minneapolis has some really cool stuff. I think they have most of the U-boats at this point. So. Yeah, so I mean, the idea was to kind of have them rotating a little bit. The few years of us not being able to do much and travel kind of put a stop to that, but hopefully the thing is to have them kind of rotate other displays around so that when people come in, it's not going to be the same thing forever. So yeah, or at least we'll add to it.
And we saw this section over here with all these tables and everything. So what has been happening here over the weekend?
So we had some guest speakers out here, some veterans from various times in their service, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. Somebody from the Navy Historical Society was here. We had all these things out here. They were doing some talks on that and kind of relating it to the stuff we do in Lego and how it relates to their experience and how it's allowed them to kind of help chat with other people about it and, you know, bring it to a new audience. And it's just how a lot of times we've coordinated with those groups to make sure our kits are the most accurate. We've had veterans say like, yeah, this is a really great kit. You did an amazing job on this, but this is wrong. Please fix. And then Dan, to his credit, a lot of times does go back and fix it because we want to make sure we're getting it as close as we can. But right now, I think it's just a dumping ground for other Brickmania employees.
But yeah, we
will have game nights here. We'll have Muck Mondays here. We want to have local Lego groups have their meetups here and stuff like that. I've been trying to set up some stuff with some of the local Lego groups that are here for Brick Fair that we can have kind of like set aside a space for every month or 2 or 3, depending on how they want to do it, have them kind of like rotating displays. Because I'm sure these people have been building stuff forever. They've probably got a whole basement full of mocks that they're not displaying. And the one thing about Lego people is they like showing off their stuff. So we want to give them a place to do that so people can come in, see it, get inspired, and, you know, want to do something or even join up with a lug. So have them, you know, meet. It's like a lot of times we have people come in, they're like, oh, I just moved into the area. Like, you know, I'm just get back into Legos. Like, have you checked out this lug? And like, what's a lug? Well, it's a bunch of like-minded Lego nerds. And it's like, that sounds great. Count me in.
So you can, everybody kind of supports each other in the community.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Lego people are pretty chill and pretty fun to hang out with. I haven't met really anything to the contrary.
Kind of complete the tour with this area of the cabinets here.
So the kits go on forever. It never stops. We just have these big wraparound counters, and whenever we get new kits, we thankfully get to build the kits for the most part, which is fun. It's the best part of the job. Sometimes, some kits. But yeah, then we get to put them all on display here. And people love to just kind of walk around and, you know, check out all these cool things and what's coming out, what's coming next, you know, what might be disappearing soon. Or a lot of times people come in and they'll just be like, oh, this is really cool. And it's like, well, sadly we don't have any more, but check back on this time. So we want to keep these on display because it allows people to see all the cool stuff.
Yeah. No, that is definitely fantastic. So it's great to see such a variety of kits as well here. Like we were talking about the ships, planes, tanks, whatever it might be. You can always see, you know,
I mean,
nice
we've even done like little field kitchens and stuff like that. And then we've done stuff from as far back as like Roman and medieval times. We had trebuchets and onagers to, you know, modern stealth fighter jets where they have the crazy heads-up displays and, you know, all sorts of laser-guided everything. But yeah, and then we just have all sorts of cool things from everywhere in between. And like we said before, certain people want to build from certain time frames, so we try and have as diverse an offering as we can. And then every now and then we'll even do some train stuff for those people. The train people are cool. Yeah. Train people are cool, but it's just like I know so little about trains. When they come in and they start talking to me, I'm just like, trains have wheels?
Yeah,
they
same.
do. They're great.
They're so detailed.
Yes, their attention to detail is just absolutely legendary. And they'll come in and be like, oh, well, this brick is off because this wheel wouldn't be in this alignment. I'm like, thank you, I will fix that. But I was surprised when we did some of the New York Central stuff. Like, I guess how much like tribality there is between train people, because they're like, oh, cool, New York Central. Well, it's New York Central. It's like, you should have done this train line. It's like, to me, train is train.
Can you run it on the tracks?
Yeah.
You know, what more do you want?
Yeah, they're just like, oh, you should have done this train line. I'm like, please tell Dan. Yeah, people think I seem to run the company around here because they come in and tell me like what to do next. I'm like, I will take it under advisement.
You have this authoritative air about
Absolutely.
you.
We are the capital store. We're the capital of all Brickmania.
I love the crazy arms here as well.
Yeah,
so shout out to Guy Himber.
Oh yeah, he's been doing some, I was gonna say he's been doing some crazy stuff, but I just realized how, sorry. Yeah, no, crazy arms have been very, very popular. We have them in all sorts of different colors. I know he's doing some more, I think, with different poses, which I'm excited for. We have some of the crazy legs as well. But it's, again, just one of those things where people, as they start building more and more Lego stuff, they want to make it more like their imagination is, and sometimes Lego is a bit constraining in that. So we have a whole display of like little dudes with crazy arms over there, and people are like, oh my God, you can do that? It's like, well, now you can. So it's always fun to see, you know, people who are in the Lego hobby just like, this needs to be this way, and then they just make it. Because that's kind of how Lego has been. It's just like, well, you know, this was a spaceship at one point, but now I want to make it a boat. And you just take it apart, you make it a boat. So Lego people are nothing if not creative when it comes to building things. Maybe not when it comes to naming things, because every company seems to have brick in the name.
It's true, it's true. We struggle with that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I guess people know what you're getting into at that point, so.
But yeah, this store is fantastic here, so it's super cool to see you moving into a bigger space like this, and it's literally right next door to the Brick Fair,
right
Virginia
next door,
now.
Yeah. So I mean, we get a lot of people from all different sorts of events because there's so many things that go on at the Dallas Expo Center. Gun shows, craft shows, like video game tournaments, obviously the Lego shows, home and garden shows. dinosaur shows, which was the fun one. I went to that one, but yeah. But yeah, no, as we have people coming through here, it's like, oh, hey, wait, this is a kind of a store that exists. And so we're always happy to kind of share the fact that, like, yeah, Lego is a thing you can do as an adult with people. And there's all different sorts of levels to it. I wouldn't really, like, start off 5-year-olds with Brickmania kits because they can be pretty tricky. But there's a whole, range of things that, people can find in here and can find within the Lego and other brick building hobby that a lot of times people just kind of either don't know or forgot really was a thing. So.
No, that's awesome. So I know we mentioned there's a few Brickmania stores around the country.
Yeah.
So for people who are interested in visiting this one, where can they find kind of more information online, or how does that work?
There's this one here, and then which is in Chantilly, Virginia. There's one in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago. And then one of the biggest ones is the GHQ store, which is right at the headquarters in Minneapolis. It's actually another part of the building where the design team is and everything.
Every time we visit there, it's just more and more the building that Brickmania is taking over.
Yes, eventually Brickmania is like an all-consuming amoeba. It will just eat that building. And I think they're going to keep the pizza place and the bar, and then everything else just has to go. But yeah, and then we just opened 2 up in California earlier this year, I think in like February. So there's Miramar and Vallejo, so like North and South California. So we're kind of just bracketing in the corners of the U.S. My guess is Texas or Florida, we don't have anything in there yet. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you tell Dan enough times, he usually does something. So. But yeah, no. So we are bringing Brickmania as far out as we can get. So yeah.
And if people want to kind of follow the store online here, and I know you talked about some of the events and stuff that you do.
Yeah.
So where can they find information about that?
Each of the stores has its own like Instagram account, which we keep updated with stuff that's going on in the stores, events, things like that, as well as a Facebook page. And you can even just, if you go online to the Brickmania website, there is a listing of events of the different stores, and then also events that Brickmania is going to be out at, whether they be things like Tank Farm or Brick Fair or Brick Fest or Brick Universe or Brick World or whatever is brick in the name. And like the list of events that we're going to be at. So you can catch us at a convention that might be closer to you because, again, we only have 5 stores for the entire US. So, but again, Instagram, Facebook, and online, or just watch the YouTube channel. They're usually pretty good at like keeping you up to date on what things are going on. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for the tour of the whole store here, and everyone watching. Yeah, if you're ever in the Washington, D.C. area, definitely make sure to check out the Brickmania store here in Chantilly. This place is awesome, and I love to see the stores growing and getting bigger and bigger. Can't wait to see more of what you guys do in the future.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It was very nice to see you again.